we're going to be talking about one video game or franchise, depending how you see it, that changed my life. Or more specifically, how this video game made me remember how I felt when I was younger. And that video game is Hollow Knight. I want everybody to think for a second, okay? I think if you are like 50 years old or younger, okay? I am willing to bet there is a video game that you've liked. Because my parents, when they were younger, video games existed when they were younger. StarCraft 2, Brood War, when it first came out. Fucking Pong. Think about it real quick. It might be Call of Duty. It might be Animal Crossing. It might be Stardew Valley. It might be League of Legends. Sorry about that. Or it might be Valorant. Extra sorry about that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that there is some kind of video game, whether it's one video game or a franchise, that you held deep in your heart because it made you feel good, right? For me, it's not Hollow Knight, because the first one that made me feel like that was the Jak and Daxter series. My favorites were Jak 2, Jak 3, and Jak X Combat Racing. The trifecta. The absolute... Oh my god, we gotta add. Okay. The Jak and Daxter series. Jak 2, Jak 3, and Jak X Combat Racing. The greatest video games that I've ever played. Do you know why? Because that video game made me feel the way that every single one of you people want to feel throughout your lives. And what is that? It's the main character. Everybody wants to be the main character, bro. You want to be that guy. You want to be the guy that everybody looks at. That you're like, man, you are that guy. You are the one, right? Everybody wants to be that person. People, the person that people look up to, people that they look at for inspiration, or they look at you and they go, that person's the shit. That person just owns the room. Everybody wants to be like that. Jak and Daxter made me feel a certain way that I have not felt in years, my whole life even, until I tried Hollow Knight. Okay, let me be honest first. Hollow Knight, when it first came out, I did not like the game. But I got this feeling inside of me where I felt like, you know what? Maybe the game will get better. So I kept going. I was like, you know what? I'll explore here. I'll explore there. But I think that's what got me. You just wander around for a little bit, and then eventually you hit a point where you're like, this is kind of interesting. Like, you find a random NPC, or you find a hidden room, or you find this random boss that you think is easy, and then you get your shit kicked in. But because you're not a fucking loser, you're like, nah, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna kick this dude's ass. I'm not gonna let this fucking 2D scroller rinky dink round ass looking motherfucker beat my ass. I'm gonna beat his ass. I'm gonna pound his ass over and over and over again. And then you beat it and you're like, goddamn, I feel good. I just owned him. I lost to him like 30 times, but this time I beat him and now I can progress. So what do you feel? You feel like that guy, right? You feel like the main character. You're like, goddamn, I'm better than you and I feel good about it. That's why I kept playing Hollow Knight just over and over and over and over again. I would have no idea where I was going, but then I would find something that would challenge me, and then I beat it, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel good. Because do you know why? It's because this game is hard. In the beginning, it's hard, at least for me, but I'm competitive. I don't want to let some level 1 NPC just clap my ass. Of course not, dude. I'm gonna go back and do it again. So then you keep going over and over and over and over and over again until you reach like Hornet, right? And then suddenly you're like, oh wait, this boss is actually part of the story. So then you're like, oh, and you get extra fired up. You're like, oh man, I really gotta beat you because you're part of the story. You're like part of the main story. So how do you feel? You feel motivated. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna beat this person. I'm gonna beat up Hornet so I can get this cool new ability. And then suddenly the difficulty bar goes up. Because Hornet is part of the main story, so that you get your shit kicked in even harder. But then guess what? When you finally beat her, once you figure out her attack patterns, right? Suddenly, it says you unlock something, like the double jump, or the dash, or the wings, or whatever. You feel good. Like right now on screen, you're fighting Hornet right now. I know my camera is blocking it, but you're fighting Hornet. Look, look, look. Do you know how good it feels to just know her attack patterns and go blah, 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 blah? It feels good. And it's challenging. So then what do you tell yourself? Oh, hey, I will go to sleep once I beat this character. But guess what? The devs knew that. They knew you were going to tell yourself that. So they upped the difficulty a little bit. And suddenly, 2 hours have passed. And then what happens? Now you get into the sunk cost fallacy, where you're like, well, I mean, I've already stayed up for like 2 hours. I might as well just keep going, right? And then boom, another 2 hour passes. But then you finally beat it, right? And you're like, oh my God, those 4 hours feel so worth it. Because you kept trying during those 4 hours. You're not gonna let some random level 2 NPC just get your shit kicked in when you already made the time and the choice to beat the character before you go to sleep. That's the feeling that I had. That probably a lot of you guys had when you guys were playing video games when you were younger. You guys stayed up way past your bedtime and your parents got mad, but guess what? You didn't care because you wanted to beat this boss. That is the magic of Hollow Knight. I have not felt that since Jak and Daxter. Because in Jak and Daxter, it's the same mechanic, but it's just open world. It's not 2D like Hollow Knight. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. In Jak 2 and Hollow Knight, you go exploring and you do certain things, and there might be mini games along the way, but once you hit a checkpoint in the story, like a cutscene or some key dialogue option, suddenly you're like, oh my God, I did it. I reached this point. And guess what? In the video game, people are like, oh my God, you did it. You saved the city, or you warded off the enemies from destroying the village. You did that shit. The game looks at you dead in the face and it says, you did that shit. You were the hero. Makes you feel good. Isn't that the whole point of video games? To feel good? So as I kept playing Hollow Knight over and over again, I just got hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. It's like an addiction. It is straight up like an addiction. But it makes you feel good. So of course you're gonna do it over again. You're not gonna call it an addiction because, well, fuck that. You're not an addict, you're just dedicated. And so I would play Hollow Knight over and over and over again. So what happened? At this point, it's not just me enjoying the game. It's me thinking about the game when I'm not playing it. You're in school, you're at work, you're doing chores, you're doing something else other than sitting in front of your computer playing video games. And the only thing that can sit on your mind is, man, I want to go back home and play some more Hollow Knight because I really want to explore that area. Or I want to finally beat that fucking boss that's been getting like on my nerves for like the past 2 days. I have not felt that in such a long time. But the only thing I could think about was a video game. Because, you know, real life responsibilities, they just get in the way. Okay, let's just say it for what it is. Your job, it gets in the way. Yeah, it pays for you, but you don't actually like being there most of the time. Unless if you're one of the lucky few who genuinely enjoys their job, which in that case, good on you. But for most of us, we just go to work to get paid. Like, we go to school so we can get a job that will pay us a little bit more than like a retail job. And then we stick in that job for, you know, 10 to 20 years. And then we get a promotion and we get a nicer paycheck. And then we can do the things that we want to do. So you just get occupied. That's why Hollow Knight for me was so good, because despite the heaviness of like reality or whatever, being like, man, you gotta do this real life thing, you gotta go to work, you gotta go to school, you gotta take care of real life responsibilities, you gotta go to your doctor's appointment. Despite all of that, you just think to yourself, man, I really want to go back and play Hollow Knight. And it's not just Hollow Knight. This could be literally anything for you guys in chat, right? So it's like the thing I said in the beginning. It could be like Call of Duty. Sorry for your loss. League of Legends. Very sorry for your loss. Valorant. Oh my God. Get a therapist. I know for a fact that every single one of you, there is one game or franchise that is like, God damn, that video game or series, I got some good memories. And it's just that in my experience, it's just single player, right? For some of us, it might be multiplayer. If I had to pick a multiplayer game that meant so much to me, it would probably be Destiny 2. Not because Destiny 2 is a good game, or at the very least not anymore, but it's because everything is in Destiny is pretty much multiplayer, especially if you want to do end game content like the raids and stuff. You need to talk with other people and meet other people, right? And I've met a lot of people through Destiny 2, and I still talk to them to this day. And who doesn't like making friends, right? So it makes you feel good. The whole point of video games is to make you feel good. Never forget that. Hollow Knight is like just the reminder that I was looking for. Because who doesn't like a good nostalgia hit, you know? I'm not sure if you guys have seen, but sometimes on my TikTok feed, I get recommended those videos where it's like some kind of like, it's like a slideshow of pictures or like videos. And it's like, oh, when you were a kid, you did not realize that you were going to pick up that crayon for the last time, or you were going to write down your last slide for the last time. It's like nostalgia. And even though it was sad sometimes, it made me feel good. I think one of the best things in life is nostalgia, because that's the whole reason why I'm talking about this game, right? Hollow Knight brought me the nostalgia I haven't felt in a long time. Because I feel like as you get older, right, that's pretty much what people do. You know, they hang out with friends and they always say, bro, do you remember that one time where you did this thing and then I was laughing at you? Or, yo, you remember when I did that stupid shit in front of that other person and they laughed at me, but then we got a good laugh out of it, or whatever, you know, blah, 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 XYZ. It's good memories. Nostalgia is a big part of happiness. Never forget that. If there's one thing that you want to remember, that I want you guys to remember, it's that nostalgia is a big part of happiness. You can be happy in the moment, but a big part in staying happy when looking at the past is the nostalgia, because you associate with happiness. So nostalgia and happiness go hand in hand.